And what does Sophie do again? I heard my sister Amanda's voice carrying across the crowded anniversary party. Oh, she just sits at home all day, probably watching TV and reading books. The laughter that followed made my stomach clench. My name is Sophie Chin, and at 32, I was standing in the corner of my parents' extravagant anniversary celebration, watching my perfect sister hold court among the family friends. Amanda, with her designer dress and perfectly styled hair, had always been the family star, the successful corporate lawyer who could do no wrong. I heard she quit her teaching job, one of my aunts whispered, loud enough for everyone to hear. Such a shame, she had such potential. Amanda's smile widened. Well, you know, Sophie, she never could handle pressure. Not like me. I just made partner at my firm, by the way. More congratulations, more laughter, more sideways glances in my direction. I gripped my glass tighter, thinking about the sealed envelope in my bag. The one I'd been planning to share with my family tonight, before Amanda turned the celebration into another opportunity to shine at my expense. At least she married well, my mother added, trying to soften the blow but somehow making it worse. James is such a successful researcher. He probably takes good care of her. James, my husband of 5 years, was running late. He texted earlier saying his meeting with the selection committee had gone longer than expected. I hadn't told anyone about that meeting, about any of it really. We'd agreed to keep things quiet until it was official. Oh yes, Amanda continued, her voice dripping with fake concern. Thank goodness for James. Sophie needs someone to support her, especially now that she's given up on having a real career. Though I don't know how he handles coming home to someone who just exists. I thought about the laboratory hidden in our basement, the years of research, the late nights and early mornings, the breakthrough that had changed everything. None of them knew. I kept it quiet, working in secret while they all assumed I was just being lazy. Remember when we were kids? Amanda was on a roll now, wine glass in hand. Sophie always said she was going to change the world. Now look at us. I'm actually making a difference of my cases, while she's probably still dreaming about it from her couch. The room tittered with polite laughter. My father looked uncomfortable but said nothing. He never did when Amanda was performing. Just then, I heard the front door open. James's familiar footsteps approached the living room, and for the first time that evening, I smiled. Sorry I'm late, he said, walking in still wearing his loud coat. He hadn't even stopped at home to change. The Nobel Committee had a lot of questions about Sophie's research. The room went completely silent. Amanda's wine glass froze halfway to her lips. The what committee? James looked around the room, taking in the shocked faces. Then his eyes found mine, and I gave him a small nod. We hadn't planned to announce it this way, but after Amanda's performance, the timing felt perfect. The Nobel Prize Committee, he repeated, louder this time. They're very interested in Sophie's work on cellular regeneration. The breakthrough she made in her home laboratory could revolutionize medicine as we know it. My mother dropped into the nearest chair. My father's mouth opened and closed without sound. And Amanda? Perfect, successful Amanda. Looked like she'd been slapped. That's impossible, she stammered. Sophie doesn't even work anymore. She stays at home. In her state-of-the-art laboratory, James finished for her, where she spent the last 3 years developing a treatment that could potentially cure several degenerative diseases. The committee thinks it might be the biggest medical breakthrough of the decade. I finally stepped forward, reaching into my bag for the envelope. I was going to announce it tonight. After the anniversary toast, I said, my voice steady. The nomination was just confirmed this morning. The silence in the room was deafening. Years of snide comments, of being the family disappointment, of hearing Amanda's backhanded remarks about my wasted potential, all of it hung in the air between us. But why didn't you tell us? My mother finally managed to ask. I looked directly at Amanda as I answered. Because sometimes the people who are the quickest to judge are the last ones who deserve to know. The next few minutes were chaos. My mother burst into tears, alternating between apologizing and trying to hug me. My father kept asking detailed questions about the research, his voice filled with a pride I hadn't heard in years. And Amanda stood frozen. Her perfect makeup couldn't hide the shock and embarrassment on her face. I don't understand, she finally said, her voice smaller than I'd ever heard it. How did you even set up a laboratory? Those cost millions. James smiled, wrapping an arm around my waist. Sophie used her inheritance from Grandma Rose. Another bombshell. 3 years ago, when our grandmother passed away, she left her entire estate to me. Amanda had been furious, claiming I'd manipulated our grandmother somehow. The truth was simpler. Grandma Rose had been the only one who believed in me, who saw past the family's expectations. That money was supposed to be split equally. Amanda protested weakly. Actually, I said, pulling out another document from my bag. Grandma Rose left specific instructions. She knew about my research plans. She believed in what I was trying to achieve. The party guests, who moments ago had been laughing at Amanda's jokes about my boring life, were now clustering around James as he explained the basics of my research. Their expressions had shifted from condescending amusement to awe. Cellular regeneration, Aunt Patricia asked, squinting at the preliminary paper I published. Sophie, this could help with my arthritis. I nodded. That's the goal. The treatment has shown promising results in early trials. It could potentially help millions of people with degenerative conditions. But you never said anything, my mother interjected, still wiping tears. All this time we thought. You thought what you wanted to think, I said quietly. It was easier to believe I was lazy and unmotivated than to ask what I was actually doing with my life. Amanda suddenly turned and fled the room. I could hear her heels clicking rapidly down the hallway, followed by the sound of a door slamming. Her husband Mark looked apologetically at me before following her. The party continued, but the atmosphere had completely shifted. People who had ignored me all evening were now eager to hear about my work. My father couldn't stop telling everyone within earshot that his daughter might win a Nobel Prize. Later that evening, as things were winding down, Mark approached me alone. She's crying in the garden, he said softly. I think she'd like to talk to you. Part of me wanted to refuse, to let Amanda sit with her embarrassment, but I was tired of the tension, tired of the rivalry she created between us. I found her sitting on the garden bench where we used to play as children. Her mascara was smeared, her perfect hair slightly disheveled. How long? She asked as I sat down beside her. How long have you been working on this? Since I quit teaching, I replied. That's why I left, to focus on the research full-time. She nodded slowly. And all those times I invited you to my firm's events, my award ceremonies. I was in the lab. The cellular regeneration process requires constant monitoring. I couldn't just leave it. Amanda was quiet for a long moment. I thought I was the successful one, she finally whispered. I thought I was showing you how to live a meaningful life. By mocking me at every opportunity. The words came out sharper than I intended. She flinched. I was wrong. I was so wrong, Sophie. I got caught up in proving myself, in being the star of the family, that I couldn't see that you were actually changing the world while I was just talking about it. Tears were flowing freely down her face now, ruining what was left of her makeup. For the first time in years, I saw my sister, not the polished lawyer, not the family favorite, just Amanda. I've missed you, I admitted. I've missed my sister. Not the one who competes with me or puts me down, but the one who used to stay up late planning our futures together. She looked at me, surprise and hope mixing in her expression. I've missed you too. I didn't know how to stop being who everyone expected me to be. I reached out and took her hand. Maybe we can both stop trying to meet everyone's expectations and just be sisters again. 6 months after my parents' anniversary party, everything had changed. The Nobel Committee's interest in my research had gone public, and suddenly our quiet life was thrust into the spotlight. News vans occasionally parked outside our house, hoping to catch a glimpse of the housewife scientist who revolutionized medicine, as one headline put it. But the biggest change wasn't in my professional life. It was in my relationship with my family, especially Amanda. You're not wearing that to the press conference, are you? Amanda asked, rifling through my closet. We were in my bedroom, preparing for a major announcement about my research results. I looked down at my comfortable lab coat and slacks. What's wrong with this? She rolled her eyes, but there was affection in it now, not contempt. Sophie, you're announcing groundbreaking medical research, not doing lab work. Here, she pulled out a sleek blue dress I'd forgotten I owned. This screams brilliant scientist who's about to change the world. It was strange, this new dynamic between us. Amanda had channeled her organizational skills and legal expertise into helping me navigate the sudden publicity. She'd become my unofficial PR manager, handling media requests and making sure I was protected legally. The university called again, she said, helping me with my hair. They want to offer you a research position. Full funding, your own lab. I shook my head. I prefer working from home. Grandma Rose believed in my vision of accessible research, remember. Big institutions come with too many strings attached. Amanda nodded, understanding now in a way she never would have 6 months ago. Speaking of Grandma Rose, she reached into her bag. I found this while cleaning out my office. She handed me an old photograph. It showed us as children, maybe 7 and 9, standing in Grandma Rose's garden. We were both covered in dirt, proudly holding up some wilted flowers we'd replanted. Remember how you always wanted to know why the flowers died even though we watered them? Amanda laughed. You were researching even then, weren't you? I smiled at the memory. And you were always organizing our expeditions, making sure we had snacks and tools. We made a good team back then, she said softly. I'm sorry I forgot that. Before I could respond, James poked his head in. They're ready for us downstairs. The press is waiting. The press conference was being held in our converted garage, now a proper media room. As I walked in, I saw my parents sitting in the front row. Mom was clutching Dad's hand, both of them beaming with genuine pride, not just in my accomplishments, but in who I was. I took my place at the podium, Amanda standing supportively to my right, James to my left. The room fell silent as I began to speak. 3 years ago, I started this research with a dream of helping people. Today, I'm pleased to announce that our clinical trials have shown a 94% success rate in treating degenerative cellular conditions. As I outlined the results, I could see Aunt Patricia in the audience, crying quietly. She'd been one of the first trial participants, and her arthritis was now in complete remission. After the formal announcement during the question and answer session, a reporter raised his hand. Ms. Chen, how do you respond to those who called you just a housewife when your research first came to light? Before I could answer, Amanda stepped forward. My sister has never been just anything. She saw a problem and worked to solve it, regardless of what anyone thought. That's not being a housewife or a scientist. That's being a visionary. I squeezed her hand gratefully, remembering all the times she dismissed me as just sitting at home. Her public support now meant more than any scientific recognition. Later that evening, our family gathered in the garden, the same garden where Amanda and I had reconciled 6 months ago. Mom had prepared a small celebration, nothing like the elaborate anniversary party, but somehow more meaningful. To Sophie, Dad raised his glass, who taught us all that success doesn't always look the way we expect it to. And to family, I added, looking at Amanda, who can learn to see each other clearly, even if it takes a while. Amanda wiped a tear from her eye, trying to maintain her composure. I have one more surprise, she announced. I've decided to scale back at the firm. I'm going to focus on helping Sophie set up a foundation for accessible medical research. If you'll have me as a partner, sis. I hugged her tightly, remembering the little girls in the photograph, working together in Grandma Rose's garden. I thought you'd never ask. Looking around at my family, really seeing them, and feeling truly seen in return, I realized that sometimes the greatest breakthroughs aren't just about science. Sometimes they're about breaking through the walls we build around our hearts, about giving people the chance to surprise us, to grow, to become better versions of themselves. And sometimes the most important discoveries happen not in a laboratory,